Hey everyone, you may know me as Cynthia Loyst from The Social, but what you might not know is that I used to be a smoker. That's why I'm proud to be a part of Quitting Made Real by Nicorette, a new 6-episode podcast series I'm hosting featuring inspiring conversations with notable Canadians about their journeys to quit smoking. Quitting smoking was honestly one of the best decisions I've ever made, and it's possible for you too with the right tools and support. To find out more and to listen now, go to nicorette.ca/quittingmadereal.
Welcome to The Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Oh, have a seat. I'm sorry, did the gorgeous Olympics just land at The Social? All of you, just in fine form. Thank you so much for being here. Let's welcome back to the show the host of The Social's Mom Life Crisis and the NSL on TSN, Kate McKenna. She's back. Hi.
Hey, girl.
Hi. And you know her and love her, broadcaster, Olympic hurdler, world champion, Perdita Felicien is here. Okay, we got a lot to get to, ladies. You ready? You ready for this?
Let's go. Buckle up.
Okay, buckle up, because boy, oh boy, there's a lot of backlash to Sydney Sweeney's new American Eagle campaign. It is called, quote, Sydney Sweeney has great genes, Jeans. But critics are saying it actually praises blonde hair, blue eyes, genetic traits that have been weaponized to uphold a racial hierarchy. But despite the criticism, the company's stock has actually gone up. And if you're online, there is a lot of critique for this ad. So I guess, I don't know if it's a question to start with. Is this a good or a bad business move?
Listen, you didn't ask if this was a well-orchestrated ad or if I liked it. You asked if it was a good or bad business move. And in my mind, it's a good business move. Numbers don't lie. American Eagle is not a social justice warrior. They're not a charity. They're a business. Their stocks have gone up 18%, and their CMO says Sweeney was their biggest get since the company started in 1977. So on paper, is this a good business move? It looks that way.
Interesting.
Oh, I say if you don't have blonde hair, you don't have blue eyes, which many of us don't, which I don't, that ad can actually ostracize you and alienate you. And if you think about beauty standards we tend to promote, that's typically the look. So are you saying to other people that your genes are less than, not as good? I'll also say from the marketing standpoint, yes, it is smart for them because controversy sells, but I say don't give them your energy. Like, why are we even debating this? Why are we even having this conversation? It's like, this is what they want. They did this by design.
It's interesting. I think, is it a good business move? Is it bad? I think it's a risky business move. Yeah. And so here's the thing. When I first heard about this yesterday, I thought, okay, well, they're doing a play on genes and genes, fine. She does have good genes. Like, she's a very attractive woman, right?
She's cute.
People say that and use that expression all the time. But then there's an actual, like, that's for the print. Then there's a commercial where apparently she has a VO where she kind of doubles down on that language. And it does reek of a little bit of eugenics talk, which is like that there's a superiority with her type of look. And that's where you get into that discomfort. And people on TikTok really picked up on that. And so they were saying, like, who was in this board meeting? And that's what I wonder. Like, in this day and age, did you not have anybody in your boardroom while you're discussing this idea who was like, you know what, this might not be the best move? Or is it that they were like, yes, this isn't a great move, business, and it's going to cause controvery, and
we're going to do it anyway.
We're going to do it anyway.
Or you never thought of a third option.
What is that?
What if the people in the boardroom said, yes, we want to do this, and we think it's a great idea?
But here's the question. That's where I go back to it was a gamble, because we know, we've talked on the show for ages about certain marketing campaigns. I think of Pepsi back in the day with Kendall Jenner, where she was coming out.
The protests.
Oh my God, it was horrible. And that, I think that I would imagine that their stock temporarily at least tanked. So this was a gamble. And I wonder also how Sydney Sweeney specifically feels about this. Outside of that, is her sort of star power going to be impacted by this or not?
She's going to be just fine.
She's going to be.
I think she's going to be just fine. Listen, we're living in an attention economy. Attention economy. What is the second word of that? Economy. Money. Where attention goes, money flows. This is a brilliant business move. It's a brilliant business move, even if we disagree with this sort of dog whistling with racial superiority. And of course that makes me uncomfortable, right? but we also might lean a certain way. What if, as I've been reading on sort of the more right-leaning websites, they are celebrating this ad?
Oh, that's
and you know why they are
terrible.
celebrating it? Not because they're just being outward with their racism, although some people are, and they're wrong and strong about it, but they said this is a critique. This is American Eagle critiquing woke marketing. So just as many people who are turned off, what if this actually turns a lot of people onto the brand?
Which I think was part of the strategy here, because I agree. I was talking to a friend last night who's an ad executive, and to be clear, I'm not a fan of this ad. I just think it's ended up being good business. So I said to her, how does something like this get through? Would they have known about the controversy this could have caused? And she said, absolutely. She said, in advertising, there's always a gut check, more formally known as a peer review. So if you have an idea in advertising, once you've come up with it, you then invite people in who are not at all affiliated with the campaign, who have diverse perspectives, whether age or race or sex, etc., to try to poke holes in it, right? To prevent any sort of critique that you don't want. So in my mind, you have to think there was at least one person in the room who looked at the jeans thing at this moment in time in America and thought, this could come up, but we want to lean into it.
Yeah.
And they probably weren't black. I'm going to say this right now. They probably weren't black, okay? Because I think if you think about going back to the 1930s, 40s, Nazi Germany, there's this idea that the Aryan race was superior. So for me, when I saw that, it was really cringy. It was really cringy to have that. And so to me, if I think about my young daughter, I don't want you wearing these jeans. I don't want you wearing that. Why could someone, why her in particular? I get it, she's a big, famous star. But look at who you're elevating. Look at who would have they used that ad with a Sierra, with Beyonce, Zendaya? Exactly. I don't know that they would have used that ad or made that ad around them. Yes, it's clever play on words, but I also think, yes, money sells, but not everything should be about money.
Can we also, agreed, completely, because this is a huge turnoff for me. Like, and the fact that it's called American Eagle as well, it just seems like very fitting, doesn't it? Like
Very
there's
MAGA,
something to
very
that.
MAGA, but
and
okay.
And they apparently, okay, well, we're gonna move on.
Yeah, well, all I want to say is we're going to find out if Sydney Sweeney's jeans are made to last.
There we
To
go.
be continued.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we got some very big made in Canada gossip now. I don't know if you've heard this, but TMZ is reporting that Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry were on a dinner date in Montreal yesterday. I know. So an eyewitness said the two sipped cocktails and shared several dishes. And after their meal, Katy and JT made their way to the kitchen to thank the staff personally. So what do you think about this potential couple?
I just noticed something.
What's that?
I just noticed something. I thought that was a window. And I said, well, obviously they want us to see. You're sitting next to the window. That is a mirror.
Yeah. Super sleuth. Whoever's doing that is brilliant. So here's the deal. First of all, I didn't know she was not with Orlando Bloom.
It was a month ago. A month ago.
Okay, so maybe they're split still. Okay, here's the deal. Trudeau is savvy. He knows what he's doing. First of all, I didn't know they were each other's type, if this is true.
Right?
But
Can we just pause on that for 1 second?
Yeah,
what is the connecting factor between Russell Brand, Orlando Bloom, and Justin Trudeau? What is it?
I'll tell you the connection right now. Katy Perry is on tour. He took her out to get free tour tickets, okay? This is not actually a date.
Come on.
This is not a date.
Come on.
He wants tickets. And not for his daughter, for himself. I'm just saying.
Or his
That's
son.
the connection.
His son also, we talked about this, Xavier, he's launching his music career, so maybe you're on
See?
something.
So you
Maybe
guys
he's
don't
just-
think this was a date?
No.
Really?
He's going home with her.
I'm kind of here for this. Imagine being JT over the last few years, always talking about like interprovincial trade barriers and tariffs, and there's bumper stickers that people hate you. I love that he is happy. He's vacationing with his kids. He's at Canadian Tire filling his cart. And if he wants to have dinner with a lovely lady and talk about probably anything but politics, I love it.
I love this a lot. I'll tell you something. It's also, it is in his, speaking of genes, we know it could be in his genes. If this is true, I love this for him. His father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, was famously linked with famous women like Barbara Streisand and the original Lois Lane, Margot Kidder. Margot Kidder, Kim Cattrall. Did you know that Pierre Elliott Trudeau and Kim Cattrall
So this
dated?
is the famous this is the family legacy.
Well, his own
last?
mother.
Could this
his
last?
own mother. No, Margaret Trudeau. She was linked with Jack Nicholson, Ryan O'Neal, even a Ted Kennedy.
He's
Ron
not as
Wood.
swaggy as his dad, though.
No, but
He's
it is in his
swaggy.
genes, girl.
The jeans didn't take. The
But
jeans
he's
didn't
also,
take.
okay, but like the thing is we are in a rah Canada moment. She's like Miss America. She's Miss American Eagle, I think.
But wait, he
so
has
why
to
not
date
go with like a nice Canadian
I don't
He has
believe
to
it.
date according to the political temperature of the country.
I don't know. Yeah,
It's not gonna last. If it's for real, it's not gonna last. It's just for a photo op.
But
I don't believe
Do you
in it.
think we'll see him at her concert tonight?
Absolutely, front row, yes.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. He's gonna be there with the
100%.
sign.
Yes. Oh, we love love. Not that that's what it is. We don't know. We don't know. Sorry, I don't want to start rumors.
A BBC reporter is arguing that we need to stop treating female athletes like mini men and hear more about how a woman's menstrual cycle and physiology impact athletic performance. So do we think female athletes should disclose more when it comes to, for example, their periods?
Yes, yes. So I'm gonna say this. I was an athlete for 20-something years, most of my life. All my coaches were men. So I'm gonna answer this in two prongs. As a young emerging athlete who's a girl, that can be very difficult to broach that conversation with a male coach. I think you need to make sure that you have a woman or somebody that you can have those conversations with. As an elite, as a professional, absolutely. And I think the male coaches need to get on board with this. But I will say this, that's something that you can control in your training environment, maybe just more locally. If you think about the World Cup, if you think about the Olympics, you think I'm gonna go to them and be like, I'm on my luteal follicular phase today, can you hold that race? They're not gonna do that. So I think, yes, within your system, your sports system, absolutely. But overall, they're not gonna stop the race or the competition for you. And I think it's within your ecosystem finding a way to control that and to understand that for sure.
I love that we get the athlete's perspective as well. Listen, me raising a daughter, me as a woman, I just think that it's about time that we break the last taboos. Women, most women are experiencing periods. And the fact that everything is still so shrouded in shame and quiet, oh my gosh, give me a sweater, I gotta wrap it around my waist, and you slide each other tampons like you're giving illicit drugs to each other. The shame that is still surrounding something that is 100% natural. I don't get it. And so it would be so refreshing. I'm not an elite athlete, but it would be so refreshing to at least hear somebody say, not as an excuse for performance, but to say, you know what? I deserve better research on my body. I deserve better equipment because I'm a woman and I have breasts. I deserve, better period products. There are great companies that are doing things like period underwear. We should have a line for elite athletes. Like, it's not just about, I need an excuse. It's give us research and products that are going to make me go from here to here. So break the shame.
That doesn't bug you at all? Like there's something unsavory about the idea that, of course, capitalism will swoop in and try to then fix and find problems and then make money off it. Like, there's something about that doesn't sit quite right for me. And on top of that, listen, already women are increasingly talking about this, and everything you're saying is true. But the examples that I've often heard are examples of a woman who, for example, went through, horrible period cramps or, these debilitating situations and still managed to win the race. There were a few examples that I read about that. And then does that not set us up for, if you can't handle pain in the same way, let's say you have cysts, let's say you have endometriosis, fibroids, that if you don't perform in the same way, that you're then a lesser athlete? And I can easily see how this could be used against you.
Yes.
Right? You're doing a press conference afterwards, and you decide to say, I didn't do very well in that match, and part of it was because I'm on my period. Can you imagine the aftermath in a comment like that? Not just from men watching, but from other women who would absolutely eviscerate another woman for saying that. And so we have to ask ourselves the question, if we're asking to be equals, I'm not saying we erase women's bodies and physiology, but I think we have to reckon with the society the way it is right now. And I just don't think that this is going to make it safer for women to come forward. I just don't.
Well, and you also lose control of the message to some degree, and when you mention the reporters asking about it versus you sharing it yourself and disclosing it yourself. So much of what you guys said speaks to me from the coaching standpoint in women's soccer, which is the world that I work in. At the Canadian university level, 10 out of 52 head coaches of women's soccer teams are women. So I think your point's a very valid one. And I also think, as far as the shame goes, that shame can have very, very real consequences in terms of participation in sports. And Megan Rapinoe, who's a very outspoken former US women's soccer player, did an ad speaking to this very thing. So take a look at this.
Many of you will soon compete on the world stage during your period. But Megan, no one cares if I talk or not about my period. Well, newsflash. 1 in 2 teens skip sports to hide their period. 1 in 2.
So I think that stat is really worth considering. And the other thing is, it is
That
crazy
was
to
an
me.
ad, though.
Of course, listen, I agree. Sure.
It's an ad for period underwear.
Yeah,
I'm
of
just
course.
saying, right?
No, and I think that's important to highlight, but I don't think one negates the other. Yes, I see the flaws with including capitalism in this conversation and in the menopause conversation and in the motherhood conversation, of course. But I don't think that negates the value of athletes speaking up, and I'll give you one example. Only now are there being studies done for the first time on the connection between ACL injuries in women and their menstrual cycles. In fact, Megan Rapinoe, who you saw there, tore her ACL 3 times. All 3 times she was on her period. And only now, for the first time, is FIFA funding a study to look into this because they have so many female players off the pitch because they sustain this injury when they're on their period. So I think that's why speaking up is important.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Cynthia on this, right? Actually,
Have I changed your mind?
Yes, you have. You always change my mind, honey. You know that. I will say this though. This is why I say it has to be within your ecosystem. This conversation has to really start at that level between you and your coach, you and your physiotherapist, you and your team. Because if you go to a mix zone, if you go to a race and you suddenly say, hey, I'm on my period, I do feel like people will take that and use that against you. You're making an excuse. You are weaker. You're a lesser than. And I'll tell you this, your competitor doesn't give a crap. They don't really give a crap that you're on your menstrual cycle. So do we need to start talking about it? Yes, but I think it has to be within a really safe space. I don't think society is ready for women coming out full tilt on this. I don't think we're there yet, sadly.
So the ones who can make noise, make noise.
True.
Okay, well, let's keep it moving because in other news, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that more couples are opting for alcohol-free weddings and replacing booze with coffee carts and zero-proof cocktails. The audience has an opinion. So is a dry wedding just bad hosting, or are you guys into this idea?
I'm gonna go right out and say it. Like I don't like this.
Yeah.
I don't like this at
Why?
all. And
Yeah.
I thank you for being with me. I feel like someone's making a decision for me, and I just feel like I'm a grown adult, and and I'll admit it might be because like historically that's what I've come to expect. I associate it with celebrations. I think generationally, like the next generation might not have that association, but for now I do, and to have it not at all there, I mean, you better replace it with something else like a gummy bar then, and then I think that would be very funny.
Okay, I'm glad that you said that, Cynthia, because everybody knows here I quit drinking over 3.5 years ago. It'll be 4 years this September. And I did it. Thank you for the support. I mean, you didn't have to clap, but I did it for health reasons. And here's the thing in 2025, the way that we realized decades in that smoking was bad for us, we're starting to realize just how bad alcohol is for us. And I think that one day we're gonna look back at alcohol and say, how are we so loose with it? And I do think we do need to really, even if you don't have a problem with alcohol, I do think we have to absolutely uncouple the idea of a good time is always paired with alcohol. And I think that's a very serious discussion.
One night only, just one night only.
One night is only, but I would also say back to you, one night without it only is okay too.
No, wait, if you had a wedding, how would you, and it was gonna be dry, would you feel the need to tell your guests that so they can like bring a flask?
Yeah, listen, people in my world know because I'm preparing an event right now. I'm getting ready to plan a massive women's event.
Okay.
It's not newsflash if you're coming. There's going to be no alcohol. And I will announce it ahead of time.
Yes.
And for me, it's if I'm paying for it, you know how much money, you're going to save by not...
That's the reason.
Couples are really tight for money. If you have all the money in the world for that kind of wedding, good for you. A lot of couples don't. You're going to save a ton of money. And I'm not going to be responsible for drinking and driving. I've lost too many people that I know.
Fair.
I'm out.
That's fair, but can I say this? Then I want a rebate or a discount or a refund on my cash gift.
Yes.
Because
What if the food is
I'm
better?
actually making it up.
But
Okay?
what if the
I'm
food
making
is
it
like
up.
out of your mind, amazing
You don't want the food or I want the...
You're paying for your
tequila.
plate and your booze.
Exactly, I want the
Your plate
mojito.
and your tequila.
I got a babysitter, parents' night out, mama's night out. I need this. I need this. Okay? Don't invite me to your dry wedding. I'm not gonna be there.
In a brutally honest interview with The Guardian, Jamie Lee Curtis condemns Hollywood's obsession with plastic surgery. So she says it has led to an entire generation. She says it has led to an entire generation of women, quote, disfiguring themselves. Is this a little harsh? Or does she have a point?
You know, the language itself I found harsh. She talks about disfiguring. She also mentioned the word genocide, which at this specific moment in time felt like the wrong choice to make.
Yes.
But where I do align with her is in this idea of changing the baseline and changing what is normal and perceived as normal. And I was thinking about this the other day because I was on camera at work, and I went to pick up my 3-year-old son, and you guys know kids, they're so honest.
Brutally.
And he goes to me, Mom, why do you look so different when you're on TV? And I'm not someone who leans that hard into glam. I love it. Our glam team's amazing, and it's an armor that I need for my confidence. But my looks don't keep me up at night. And I said to him, well, it's my costume. Because that really is how I see it. It's my costume for work. But I just started thinking, my kid now, when he watches almost any screen, particularly with the advent of AI, is only seeing a normal that includes women who, at bare minimum, are getting needles in their face. And this is not a holier-than-thou comment. I participated in Botox, so I'm not speaking ill of other people. But I think that's a problem.
I'm gonna tell you something here. I get what you're saying. I have had plastic surgery. I've had needles in my face. I love every single one that I have put in my face. That's for me. I'm not saying that that's for everybody. Since the beginning of time, women have been doing things to our bodies to conform to another ideal. Back in the day, it used to be cinching your waist to 19 inches. It was Cleopatra who was putting on makeup. Like, we have been doing this since the beginning of time. And I think for Jamie Lee Curtis, she's so rich in saying this. She has had plastic surgery.
Oh. And she said she regretted.
Okay, she did it and now she regrets it. Okay.
Hold on. Just because we've always been doing it, does that make it right?
No, what I'm saying is there's nothing different. She's making it sound like we've never, ever in the history of humanity as women done anything to change ourselves. We've always been doing this. I'm not saying that's right, or I'm not saying that's wrong. Okay. But the idea that she's saying, oh, we're disfiguring ourselves, then you're only noticing bad plastic surgery. Women have been doing this for a really long time. You only notice the bad work. A lot of people are doing it, and you'd never know. So the idea of disfigurement, don't shame people for making a choice. That might give them a little confidence to help them get through their day.
Can we pump the brakes and go backwards for a second? Because you said, we talked about Jamie Lee Curtis like saying things in very harsh language, right? And I love this expression, where there's drama, there's trauma, okay? Everyone. And she, in fact, to go back to her plastic surgery story, she did admit to getting liposuction and eye procedure that she said got her addicted to opioids. So I think part of her passion around this topic is because of her personal history. She's worried for women. It's not just about aesthetics, but also about maybe that it's a slippery slope down. Because we've all known those people. I feel like I've seen people who stop seeing themselves. There isn't an aspect to plastic surgery that can be addictive and can also be dysphoric. We know this, that you don't see yourself properly.
Okay, I really feel like, Jamie, if you're watching the show, shh, okay? Be quiet, because women get to decide how they want to age. It's not your choice to police other people's bodies and decisions. And Mel, I mean, 100% agree with you. Let women choose for themselves. We've had enough of the patriarchy and men telling us what to do. Don't join in, don't chime in. If you want the needles, if you want the laser, if you want the Botox, if you want the bump, if you want the wax lips, do your thing. If you want to age as
But isn't it entirely our own choice anyway? I guess it's a question of, I'm going to be honest too, because I'm not devoid of the impact. I've noticed myself that if occasionally I found myself clicking, actually after the Jenners started talking more and more about their plastic surgery, somehow in my algorithm there was plastic surgeons in New York and whatever. And some of the before and afters I was like, wow. And then you start to look at yourself and you start to notice, and it starts to seep in a way that is kind of insidious and infectious. And I'm not saying I'm judging other women for it. I do think there is still this question of who can access those services. There are many people who will never be able to afford those types of things, and the way in which it seeps into our mainstream, where I see women all the time who are like in their 30s who actually ironically look like they're in their 50s, but because they've had too much No, but it's like that we've just started to sort of like accept that there's a kind of through line that everyone has to have a certain type of work. And I think it is destroying a certain amount of, I feel like, our own collective confidence and our own diversity and our own, we think that it's a choice, but I'm not so sure it always is anymore.
Listen, I get that, but as someone who has had I've had my breast augmentation twice. I'm a very big fan of Botox and of fillers, although I've eased off on the fillers. If and when the day comes that I want to do things to my face, I'm never going to hesitate. But that's my choice. It is my choice.
But it impacts other people, Mel. And I say this with love.
What do you mean?
Because I think that the more, like, I know, for example, I have different friend groups. When I'm in my TV circles, I think more about the way I look than I do when I'm with my friends from university. Like, I actually don't wear makeup. You're the same way.
Exact same. Yep.
It totally is depending. So there is something that we do influence. And I'm not saying it's all bad or all good, but we do have a role of just, yes, accepting, but I also feel like we have to be careful about endorsing. That's it.
And also, I think there is power in laying bare the work you've had done. I had a really interesting conversation with a woman who works as an injector, and she said, you wouldn't believe the number of my clients who pay for their work in cash because they don't want their partners to know.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's interesting.
Right? So I think there is a secret layer to this that if we're gonna own it, let's own it. But I don't know the last time we saw many women who have aged without work on screens. And I still go back to that being a problem because then if you are aging without work done, you feel like the anomaly.
Okay, I get what everybody is saying here. Here's the thing, I don't know how my personal choice is going to change those kinds of views. What I know is that I see women on TV, and I think women, whether you've chosen to do work or not, I just think women are beautiful, and that is absolutely your
How
choice.
you decide to
How
age.
you
How
decide
you
to
decide
age.
to age.
But what I will
But
say...
we're always saying on this show about like when we do this all the time. Again, I'm guilty. I'm calling myself out when we see someone like a Jane Fonda or whatever. We're like, she's in her 80s and she looks amazing.
Yes.
Well, she's had a
Yes.
lot of work done.
Yes.
So where does that
But
leave
I also
another
think that
80-year-old
Helen
who hasn't?
Mirren looks amazing, and I also
She's
think
had
that
work
Dame
done.
Judy Jen.
They've
Jess,
all
you know what I mean?
they're
Lindsay Lohan
unreachable.
looks really good right now. Just Google her. Just say, she looks really good. I'd pay for that.
It's
I just think
challenging.
I'm here for agency. I think we're all saying
Just,
that.
I know we don't have a lot of time left, but AI has entered the chat as well in all three.
Yes.
And I don't know if you heard this controversy around there was a guest model who was in Vogue who was completely AI.
Yes.
To go back to our original conversation around Sydney Sweeney too, she is the prototypical, like specifically, like, this is what she
Blonde
looks like.
bombshell.
So this is what
She's
young
not
girls.
real. This is fully fake.
Fully fake, but this is what
Fully
young
fake.
girls are looking at and not necessarily knowing. So I guess I do worry for the next generation too. It's one thing when you're 60 years old and you're deciding to do tweaks. If you're 12 years old and you're seeing this as an ideal, at what point are you starting out of the gate with all your insecurities and deciding to do augmentation in order to look like an unachievable goal? That's all.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Fair. Well, Perdita, clearly it was so lovely to have you here today. We love you.
Always. Thank you. Always good.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.